three speakers, and weren't they interesting? Each of them had points in which they agreed with one or both of the other speakers, but as you saw, they also disagreed with each other vigorously on quite a number of points. That's what makes a good forum, is when you hear a variety of opinions. Oh, Julian, I must say too, if you can, see if you can snag one of those desserts. They're good. Now it's your turn to question the forum panellists. So I'd like very much for anybody who has a question to ask to please come up this way, and I'll lend you the microphone very briefly. Come and ask your question and let's see what our different panellists have to say. Please come forward. I can't reach you, unfortunately, with this cord. I'm not the Graham Kennedy that I wish I was, so you'll have to come to me. And please, if you'd introduce yourself just briefly, say your name.
My name's Fraser. My question to the panel is in regard to the RED scheme. My understanding is the objectives were to reduce the amount of power coming from fossil fuels to address climate issues and reduce pollution. So it seems to me that when you have a situation that the RED scheme is going ahead of schedule, in that it looks like it might reduce the increase sustainable power by 26%, and in that situation where we want to stop, we want to hold it back because it's doing too much, isn't that like wanting to reduce the tax on cigarettes, because it's reducing the number of people who are smoking by further than we thought. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves in terms of having benefits of health of less people smoking. I'd like to hear a panellist comment on that.
Thank you very much. We might go first to you, Dr. Igor, if you wouldn't mind.
First of all, as far as we understand, RED scheme was designed to have fixed amount of generation by a certain time in the future, and percentage as well. So it's a question of legal interpretation whether this fixed number, 95,000 gigawatt, you remember this number, I'm sure? 41,000 gigawatt hours will overtake more than 30%. And clearly this example of the cigarettes is very good, right? Because we should be happy we going ahead of the schedule in any way, because we're doing good thing. And impact that we should be afraid of price rises, I don't think it's anywhere as significant to be concerned of.
Thanks, Andrew. I think it's an excellent question, thank you. I think when everybody thought about our actions to respond to climate change, people had the view that 20% was just a start. And as we got closer, as the consensus grew, then we would have ambitions well beyond 20%. It's the same with the 5% emission reduction target. People are okay, well it's the best we can negotiate today, but as we go on, naturally we're going to do more. So I think that was certainly the mindset of the public. In relation to specifically the renewable energy target, how did 41,000 gigawatt hours come about? The legislation says at least 20%. The legislation does not say 20%. When they were setting the target, the fossil fuel generators, the power sector, the state governments, the mining companies, all argued it has to be a fixed number. If it's not a fixed number, then we don't know what we're shooting for. And so they argued for 41,000 gigawatt hours, and they got it. And they argued for 41,000 gigawatt hours because they thought that was going to be less than 20% by 2020, right? They were arguing that's why they did it, right? Now, when demand has gone down, prices have gone up, people are using less electricity, it looks like we're going to do better. The legislation is 41,000 gigawatt hours. So now they want to argue it back the other way. So I'm going to say it's hypocrisy both ways. I'm going to say that we as a community should be pushing our political leaders to do more, not less. Where's the 30% target? Where's the 40% target? In the ACT, we've got a 90% target. Fantastic. So that would be my response to the question.
Look, just a brief comment. I think what most people are concerned about at the moment, their concerns to the market distortion of price should it move beyond the 41,000 gigawatt hours and the 20% mark. So I think that's the concern that the Minister's looking at, and that's what he's taking advice on. And from my understanding, it's just technically they're blaming a quirk in the legislation was basically poorly written, which occasionally happens, and I think that they're looking more to simply cleaning up the language so they can change that. So I can understand what you're saying about aspirational targets and having it better, but I think the concern here for most people is the distortion in prices.
So that means that we're choosing in a situation where we could be reducing pollution, we're choosing to increase or to maintain it, or is that?
Well, I think they're just going to review all the information and then come to their decision. But I think that they're concerned that it was going to be about reach 26 to 28%, and that's where they want to bring it back to 20%.
Just
is
very,
my understanding.
a very quick additional comment from
Just a small additional comment to Julian. Julian, you're talking about market distortion caused by renewable energy, as if the market is not distorted already by generation of fossil fuels. So I think market distortion is not applicable to this particular issue when we are dealing with distorted market, and by introducing RED and other renewable energy measures, we want actually to make market real, not distorted.
Okay, thank you. Another question.